Oh, back for what I promise you is the last of the lymphatic lectures. So we stopped last time with an introduction to the tonsils. Now we gotta just knock out, boom, 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 knock out the three major groups of tonsils. Number one, the palatine tonsils. So if you look in the back of your throat, find the hangy down thing, don't call it that. It's really called the uvula, and it's what stops food or drink from going up into your nose and you swallow. Next to your uvula, lateral, you got your tonsils. These are kind of big. These are your palatine tonsils right here. There's a drawing of them right there, right there. They're in the posterior oral cavity to help you deal with your ingested microorganisms. They're the biggest and they're the most often infected. I mean, which is kind of go hand in hand with being the biggest. All right, moving upward, we got our pharyngeal tonsils. They're at the back of the nasopharynx, which is the nose part of the pharynx. So this whole region here, behind the nose, here's the nose nasal cavity, behind the nose, behind the mouth, above the larynx, that's all throat, that's all pharynx. And in the back of the nasopharynx, we have the pharyngeal tonsils. So when you take a big deep breath in, air comes in, crashes, complete with sound effects, crashes into the nasopharynx, crashes into the pharyngeal tonsils, and hopefully we deal with a lot of the bad stuff in the inspired air. The pharyngeal tonsils are often known as the adenoids. They're the ones that can be problematic in that if they get too swollen, they can impair your breathing. Okay, lingual tonsils on the back and the side of the tongue. There they are right there. They're not too exciting. Let's keep going. All right, I want you to identify all three tonsils in this picture. And just for fun, find me your atlas and your axis too. All right, so organs are done. Tissue time. So we got a lot of lymphatic tissue in our body. Okay, aggregations of lymphocytes. They're going to do all the normal things: fight pathogens, activate the immune system. Two types, and we've actually met these two types within organs also. Now we're going to talk about this tissue external of organs. So we met spread out or diffuse lymphoid tissue. We met lymphoid follicles, aka lymphoid nodules, where these cells are packed together more tightly. Now, most of our lymphatic tissue is in our mucosae. So it's mucosa associated lymphatic tissue, aka MALT. It's in your tracts: digestive, respiratory, urinary, reproductive. The two big ones there are digestive and respiratory. So our two major types of MALT, and you gotta love the rhyminess here, are GALT and BALT. GALT stands for gut associated lymphatic tissue. That is what we're seeing here. All this purple stuff here is, not all of it, but primarily, it is aggregations of lymphocytes. And this is the small intestine. We see these upward projections of the small intestine we met earlier last semester and this semester as well. These are villi. They enhance the surface area of the small intestine to facilitate absorption of nutrients. But when you're absorbing nutrients, you could absorb bad things as well. And we need a lot of lymphocytes in here, a lot of lymphatic tissue. We also have BALT, not pictured here. The B in BALT stands for bronchi, which is the plural of bronchus, which are your big airways in your lungs. And they're what branch off your trachea. We're also going to find these in our other tracts as well, and in other organs too. And of course, it can be diffuse or nodular. It can be packed together as follicles or spread out. Here is a beautiful lymphoid follicle / nodule, a solid spherical cluster of lymphoid cells, primarily lymphocytes, and we gather that by noting the purplishness. Follicles are found throughout your digestive and respiratory tract. Also, they're in your lymph nodes. They're in your tonsils too. We actually have a large concentration of follicles, a large aggregation of follicles in your distal small intestine. Easier way to say distal small intestine is the ileum. And make sure you spell that I-L-E-U-M. If you spell it I-L-I-U-M, you're talking about a bone in your hips. Okay, why do you want clusters of follicles? So a follicle is a cluster of lymphocytes. This Peyer's patch is a cluster of clusters. Why do you want a cluster of clusters in your distal small intestine? Well, think about it this way. The distal small intestine is right next to the large intestine. I hope you said large intestine in that little pregnant pause I gave you to fill in the blank there. So your large intestine has a ridiculous number, trillions of bacteria, and you love them there. They're great. They make vitamin K for you. They make B complex vitamins, help you deal with all sorts of other things. They even help your immune system function. They help make sure it doesn't go awry. And you love your bacteria in your large intestine, but not so much in your small. So at the end of the small intestine, you have a vanguard of lymphoid cells, lymphoid tissue, known as Peyer's patches. All right, cool. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the appendix. I apologize for the crappiness of this slide here. There's like nothing right here. I don't know why. I thought I had an appendix picture right here. So draw an appendix here for me, okay? So, and then show me your appendix drawing. I'd love to see it. The appendix is a blind outpocketing of your colon. It can be a couple inches long. It might be up to like 11 inches long. I think that's the record, although I don't really know. It's blind, meaning it has a dead end. It's got lots of aggregates of lymphoid follicles as well. You know, the appendix is one of those things that's often said, you know, it doesn't have a function it used to. It's not so. That's not really true. I mean, the appendix in a lot of animals and a lot of herbivores is going to house a population of bacteria that help those animals deal with the polysaccharides that they ingest, like cellulose, that sort of thing. Koalas have a ridiculously awesome appendix to help them deal with all the fibrous nature of the eucalyptus leaves they eat. But this ain't koala anatomy and physiology. You're worried about your appendix. Big function of your appendix is to be a reservoir of bacteria. You might ask yourself, well, why do I need a reservoir of bacteria? Well, remember that bacteria in your gut, in your colon especially, make vitamins, B complex vitamins, vitamin K. They help modulate your immune system. They do a lot of good stuff for you. And it all comes down to pooping. So here's your normal situation. Okay, the green represents bacteria colonization in your large intestine. Look, there's your appendix right there. Okay, so imagine you got some sort of infection. You went to some country that didn't have great water. You drank the water and ended up holed up in the bathroom for a while, having crazy diarrhea. I mean, diarrhea is a normal response to help flush out the problem in the colon. And that's the point of diarrhea, to get rid of all the bad stuff. Problem is, you get rid of the bad stuff, you also get rid of the good stuff. So all the poopy diarrhea eventually gets pooped out and out. There it is. But all the good bacteria went with it. Well, actually, not all of it. Check this out. Look at that right there in the little reservoir, the little safe house. You can't poop away your appendix bacteria. So post-diarrhea, you can then repopulate the large intestine with your normal bacteria and get back to business in terms of making those vitamins, demodulating your immune system, etc. All right. Oh, sweet. I just hit my next page button and nothing happened, which is great news for you guys. It means the lymphatic system is finito. All right. See you guys in class.